Hello everyone, this video is not sponsored. This is the Lumibricks Time Rift library from the Steampunk series, and it comes with 3,187 pieces. The retail price is $150 US. I got mine for about $120 US on just a regular discount that was available to everyone. Allegedly, according to at least one place on the Lumibricks.com page, this has 26 prints. But that's clearly a lie, because you can see more than 26 prints just right here, just from the front. I'd say it's probably like 3 times that many. And they also say it has 17 lights. The plate that it's on, the base, is 44 studs wide, not your usual 32 or 48. It's a strange number in between, but the depth is 32, and the build experience for this was different. It definitely followed kind of a different order of operations than I'm used to. This does use a single AA battery box that takes 3 batteries, but as usual, I'm just using a USB little battery pack. You can also hook this up to continuous USB if you want. This is able to open up, but what was interesting about the build, most interesting and different to me, was that you first build the base, just the flat area, and then you create this whole platform, this whole foundation for the entire thing, because the floor actually starts all the way up here, right where the gray line is, that goes all the way across. And you can see it here, right? You've got this stoop, and well, the entire interior is up at this high level. So you add this thick foundation, and then you go vertical. I believe it was this side over here. We do the walls. The walls go up pretty far, but completely empty. So nothing inside at first. It's just different. Lumibricks does things different very, very frequently, but they have not ceased to surprise me just yet in some of the range of differences that they can come up with for general approaches to their builds, as well as how things can be taken apart. Now, this actually has a fair number of things that can either come out or change. Some of them, though, a little bit more complex than I think they need to be. Like, there's this whole significant geared mechanism for the clock. And ultimately, all it does is just let you turn the clock from here. So rather than putting your fingers on this directly, you put your fingers on this. And it just rotates. There are a bunch of gears inside of there. So that one doesn't actually do all that much. There's also over here, this has a mechanism over here. All right, so you can make that go back and forth, which makes sense. But it's a lot of technic stuff to make something so simple happen. Basically you could just do this, but instead you're doing it from over here. Okay, all right. The most impactful action-related thing that they've got as a mechanism is actually related to the Time Rift itself that's at the back of the library, which we'll take a closer look at later. But there's a small mechanism over there. You see that little round knob back there? Yeah, you can actually turn that. It's a toggle. Let me try to sneak past here. And I want you to focus right there. Oh, get my arm out the way. There you go. You see it? See it opened up a little bit. Here, I'll close it back. It's just that. It just changes the width of the rift itself. The crack in the back of the wall. So you can see a little bit more light. That's really the most impactful thing that they've done, which is nice. But my gosh, the amount of mechanism that's involved in that, like I'm turning this, which goes all the way through the building back to here. You've got all this going on, and then there are 2 inputs inside to slide the sides off. You can also remove all of this right here, but in order to do that, you do need to disconnect this. It's relatively easy to do. And then finally, there's also a little area you can pull out over here simply and easily down at this level. There's a lot more to show. But this has one of the bookcases. It is a library after all, so you do need to see a bookcase. Some companies think if you do something with book in the title and it's a whole building, you only need 1 book. Well, not Lumibricks. They're like, let's do a lot of books. And let's even have some of them open with unique prints. You will see a bunch of printed books. You've already seen some of them outside. They're just kind of flying around. You also saw there is this bookcase here itself, which is completely flown out of the library itself. There's no good place to put this as far as I've seen on the inside, but it's another one. It also has another printed book, a couple pages. There's another book down here, but I appreciate the generosity of really thinking about what we want to see in a library. We want to see a lot of books, and you're going to see more still. Might as well go ahead and take this out and show you this because, again, you can pull all of this out, even though the light for the time rift itself is embedded in here because they use, there it is, underneath. They hid this. This is very, very nice. They hid the power connector underneath the floor. Here's the other one. So this is, power ultimately is coming from the inputs over here, makes its way over here eventually, and then it can transmit into this separate section. If you want to power this by itself, you'll have to do something custom. They just don't give you any direct connection for that. But here you can see how these two are able to be separated out, which just reveals some of this printed, I think it's a vinyl piece. I think it's a PVC piece, which the light shines through there. And then there are also more books, like I said. So more prints as well. Got some nice references. Some things random, some things recognizable in here. And that just continues as a theme throughout the whole thing. This looks pretty nice. It's nice that this can slide back and forth as well. But ultimately, I don't know. I don't think the mechanism is doing all that much here. Then inside you can see a couple more printed pieces. These are banners that are hanging down. And this area over here is not able to slide out. So you do not get, as far as I can tell, you do not get convenient access to this space. You just get to see it mostly through the front window. If we bring ourselves around here just a little bit, there's a nice comfy chair with a custom build. And again, best way to see that is through the windows, which is fine. It's all right. There's a little grandfather's clock over there, which has its own unique print and stuff. But yeah, you don't really see that much. I guess I didn't show you this particularly closely. It's just showing that, a lot of things are going on right now, which is why the hat has popped off. You got more prints over here. This is lit up, the hourglass. Getting these in was just a little bit tricky. Some of the wiring felt just I had to be a little bit extra careful here because there were some areas where there were loops. It wasn't as bad as some of the more complex sets that I've built recently from Lumibricks, but still not the simplest stuff. All in all, I think it felt fine. Just this definitely isn't for absolute novices. And then over here you got this nice little orrery. It's kind of basic, but it definitely does its job. You got a lamp back there. I'd say that the colors of the wires are pretty respectable and sensible throughout this. They're mostly dark, so not a whole lot of stuff is visible other than this stuff right here, which I just don't have managed because, I'm just powering it for the sake of convenience. And then you are also able to open this up. This is interesting because this in this case is just a door, which allows you to bring out this side build. It's all right. There it is. And thanks to viewer Paolo, who actually looked this up and found that this is a replica or a representation of The Time Machine from the 1960 film adaptation of H.G. Wells's The Time Machine, which is pretty cool. They definitely did a good job with it. And obviously a figure can sit there. And then you've got this little chain on the back. And the idea is that you would hook the chain up perhaps to one of the, something like this. And you've got a little spot where you can actually connect it right there. So if you want to show that maybe the books are being taken away, or maybe this is anchoring itself to a stack of books to try to keep from being pulled away by the rift. But then that just leaves an empty area inside of here. You can lift these up, but that's not really the intent. However, you can also take the entire roof off, and that comes off cleanly, but it does not give you any more real access to be honest about it. It lets you see a little bit more of the mechanism with the gears up here, but ultimately, you can already see everything. I guess it gives you slightly better access to put a figure in the spot over by the orrery. Maybe a little bit of help out here. Nah, not even really that. Yeah, so this is mostly just for convenience of the build because there is a light up in here and they've got a connector right here that will send your power, ultimately, that came from all the way down below up to, it's two lights right here. And then there's one up in the the room, the little storage attic, I guess, for the time machine. And then, of course, the clock itself on the front is lit up. Before I turn off the lights in the studio, I want to call attention to something with the front doors. First of all, a lot of aligned prints there, basically multiple tiles that are assembled first at the factory, and then they are printed to make sure that those prints all fully line up. Very nice to see. But I was unreasonably excited and intrigued when I came upon these bars here, because they use a gold color that I don't think I've ever encountered before. It's really, really good because it's injection molded gold. So the bars are injection molded gold. The clip pieces that are holding them in are that really nice and fancy and more expensive painted gold. And Lumibricks, who makes the parts for Lumibricks, they do really, really good painted gold. But their regular gold, their injection molded gold, is just okay. I think it's a little bit too saturated. It's a little bit dark. It's a little bit lacking in metallic sheen, all these pieces. Those are all done with their basic gold. At least it doesn't seem to suffer from the classic gold plastic syndrome where gold pieces can be very brittle. They seem to have a good mix. But this down here, these two pieces are much brighter gold with, from what I can see, a larger metallic flake. There's more metallic sheen there. And it just almost glows. It's really, really interesting to me. It's also a softer plastic. It's not the standard ABS. And I'm just wondering if they've kind of unlocked something here. I'm wondering if they've actually solved gold. You can also see the same pieces over here. Solved injection molded gold. Again, I don't know if they're going to be able to pull that off with the, kind of migrate that over to the regular pieces in harder ABS, but I love this gold. It's definitely the best gold that I've seen injection molded that isn't brittle. So I was, like I said, unreasonably excited about that detail. And here I've turned off all lights in the room entirely. So every bit of illumination that you're seeing right now comes from the set itself, coming from a single battery powering it. And you'll see a very similar level of light if you just use regular AA batteries, as long as they're not dead, right? It's very, very close in overall voltage that's delivered, and you'll get something similar to this also if you plug it in with a continuous power source. I mean, this is glowing. It does feel good. There's a lot of variety of the types of colors that are shown here. The yellow lights are not just a regular cool white color. The bulbs inside are kind of a medium white, but then the cylinders, what you see here, the larger portion, the round thing that actually appears to be illuminated, is yellow. So that's where most of the yellowishness is coming from. Up here, you've got just a regular kind of a warm-ish white. The strip up here is also a warm white. You got the nice blue over here. You can see light is still emanating around the sides. You can see a little bit around the back as well, including there we go. Just keep it's got enough light to maintain autofocus here, but it's kind of like an atrium feature up top, which still allows some more light to come through. There's a little bit higher angle at it, just so you can see how that is illuminated. And you can also see bits of light showing through over here with the skylights. The balcony is lit up, and that's subtle right there. You don't really see that glow very much at all. Like, you see it just a little bit right here. I kind of wish that light was aligned slightly differently so that it would light up the clock itself a little bit better. You see a little bit more if you angle this clock, I guess just clock face back a little bit more, use it a little bit more like the dialing device for a Stargate there, I suppose. But then there's your rift. Like, that is very, very strong. As a matter of fact, the light strip that goes through it is so strong it even obscures some of the print that's in there. So that's definitely doing its job and giving you your money's worth. With the Steampunk line in particular, Lumibricks is really putting a lot of effort into developing the story right now. So every single figure, especially in this line, is not just a figure, it's a character. And they give you a little bit of backstory on the website or in the instructions. It's not like a full exposition, but they help you to understand a little bit what these characters could potentially represent. However, they do keep things fairly open-ended and really just use their little micro biographies as starting points and inspiration for your own imagination. And yes, this is a cat person over here on the left, full on. This also counts as a figure, but it represents a statue in this case. You see there's even a crack in it. They didn't even need to put the printing on the back here. I appreciate the little bit of extra effort. Again, this was 3,187 pieces, retail price of $150 US, and use normal discounts. You can definitely get it for less than that. I feel like the value here is very good, especially with the sheer number of prints, which is, again, way over 26. It's probably, I don't know, 60 plus, something like that. The volume of stuff here, again, 44 studs wide, 32 deep. The foundation that adds a lot of bulk to it. The little mechanisms don't do all that much, but I do appreciate that they're there, and it was enjoyable to build some of the stuff. Some of it's just a little bit different. Again, from what I'm personally used to, they might do stuff like this quite frequently in the steampunk line. Steampunk is just not my theme, and from polling that I've done, it's not the theme for most of you who watch my channel either. But it is the theme for some of you who watch the channel, so thank you, and I'm happy for you. But the main thing for me is I'm not biased in favor of the source material here at all. As a matter of fact, I was a little bit biased against it because this looks so busy, and I don't do busy. I don't like busy. I know plenty of people who like busy. Some people will think that this looks terrible. Some people will think this looks amazing. I think it's really cool in spite of having no particular love, again, for kind of the source material or this general style. I think the end result, especially when I turn down the lights a little bit, makes me feel good. When I look at it, I'm happy with it. I'm happy with what I ended up with after I invested a certain amount of money and a certain amount of time, to get it built. I feel like it's worth it in the end. I feel like the whole thing, the whole entire experience is worth it in the end. I think that even the busyness is worth it. I think it just works. Now, you can definitely leave a lot of this stuff off easily. Many of the small little things, the result of the time rift can be just made more simple. Most difficult thing would be dealing with the light over here. You'd have to figure out something to do with this light because it is integrated into the base, into the platform quite well. But I'm sure you can figure out something to do with that. Make a little fountain off to the side or something. But you can clean this up definitely with a little bit of modification. It does not look good around the back. Also, the opening features don't do all that much. Just like the action features don't do all that much. But they do something. They definitely do something. I don't feel like there was a lot of wasted effort here in the design process or in the build process for me. So I just can't feel bad about this. I can only feel good about it. The total net experience for me is definitely a positive one, and I'm glad that I had this opportunity to try this out. So thank you for watching. I hope that some of you enjoy this also, and we'll see how well this does as a video on YouTube, which will help to determine, how frequently I delve into the steampunk series from Lumibricks, which evidently is very successful for them. But, ultimately, I'm here to serve you, not them. They're great and all, but I'm here for you. Thank you to all the folks who use my affiliate link or links to purchase things when you want to purchase things. Don't buy anything that you don't want to, please. But if you do use an affiliate link, I can get a small commission, which just helps me to be able to buy more stuff for the channel to do more content. Thank you also to the channel members and the Twitch subscribers and Patreon members for your significant support. Take care, and I'll talk to you again soon.